stuff. Ladies and gents, degenerates, alcoholics, gamblers, and fight fans unanimous, welcome back. I'm gonna try not to do too many Trump hands and shit. I noticed myself doing that a lot in the last episode, episode 2. If you haven't watched, give that a like. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. We are here. This is the Phoenix Fight Garage. If you can't see it, I am the Fight Father. This is episode 3. We are here to talk about UFC 312. We're going to break it down here for you tonight. So, without further ado, let's take it down the level here. Let's calm it down. One thing you might not know about this channel is not only are we here to have a good time, but we're also here to gain knowledge, but also have a good time. So if you hear this noise tonight, boom, that's the first one. Take a puff, take a drink, whatever it is you're doing. I've had some friends tell me they watch this at home when they're ripping a bowl, or they get home and they're drinking a beer, and that just makes me happy that we're all here having a good time. 10, 15 minutes of your time, I'm here to break it down for you. If you got any ideas, throw them at me. If you could share the page, send it out. We are just getting started here. I'm loving every minute of it. Just talking fights with the boys. So, we have UFC 312. It is in Sydney, Australia. And we got a lot to get into tonight. Boom, there's another one for you. I got to keep this thing rolling tonight. If you didn't know, it's a rematch as the main event between Sean Strickland, Dragons du Plessis, American versus South African. Then we have the great Weili of China versus Tatiana Suarez of America. So we do have 2 Americans in the main event this weekend. Following that up, we have a not that exciting fight. A lot of people have given this card a hell of a lot of shit for not being too exciting beyond these 2 fights. But I will give you a little background on this fight between, I got Justin Tafa versus Teixeira. Teixeira's first fight in the UFC beyond the Contender Series. So we're going to break that down a little bit. We're going to get into basically the main 2 fights in this one a little bit. We'll chat a little bit about the first 2 on the card. We got Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo Bellato, I believe. And then we have Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado. Prado is from Argentina. And Bellato, I believe, is Brazilian. So we'll come back to that in a moment. Additions to today's show. One, I'm drinking Bud Light. If you haven't noticed the last 2 episodes, I've been drinking Jack. Bud Light, official beer of the UFC. Make sure you get some before fight night. And I have a new sound tonight. I'm just going to go, if you hear this one tonight, go ahead and take a sip. I mean, all of us remember those great, I believe, Bud Light commercials, right? If I'm mistaken, that's on me, but real man, I mean, that's just a good one right there. So either one of those tonight, you're going to want to be taking a drink, taking a puff, whatever you're getting into out there. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's break into this card. We have, at the bottom, Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado. As I said, Prado is an Argentinian. You do not see that very often in the UFC. He is 1-2 so far in the UFC. I don't like his chances. He's fighting an Aussie. And usually when they do these cards in like Australia or Canada, they usually try to, give a little meat to a couple of the native fighters of that, wherever that land might be. So I think I got Matthews and Crute in both of these. They're both Aussies. That's the following fight, Crute versus Bellato. They're both 28. They're both the same height. If you don't know Crute, he had a big injury in 261, but if 2021, he fought Jamal Hill and Anthony Smith. So that dude was right on the cusp of really taking a flight into the top side of that division. So I like Matthews and Crute. I think Dana's setting up for the Aussies to get a couple wins there. But heading into the third fight, Tafa versus Teixeira. Like I said, gotta keep this thing going today. Boom, that's for you, savages. So, Tafa, Teixeira. Tafa, Him and his brother really are some bangers in the UFC, but it is tough to take them. He has had a bunch of canceled fights, only 2 wins in 2023 over a bunch of randos, if I am to be honest. Teixeira, I love him. He's only minus 115. I hope that goes one way or the other gambling, but he's undefeated. Like I said, coming out of the Contender Series, his last fight, KO, brutal knockout, 1 punch, done against Arthur Lopez. I'm taking him as my lock of the night. He is, I think, what do I have down here? He is 6 inches taller and has a 9-inch reach advantage. If there was a street fight and I said this guy's got a 6-inch reach advantage, no, 6 inch in height, 9-inch in reach, you'd probably bet with the bigger dude. I will say, for some reason, Vegas is not really that scared of him. Vegas only has Teixeira as a minus 115. So that's going to be an interesting. I love the bigger guy in this one. Don't see too much action going on the ground. Another one for you. Now, heading into the main 2. Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis. If you don't know about those 2, we're going to dig in. There's a lot of hatred there. There's a lot of rivalry. It's going to be fantastic. Once again, it's in Sydney, Australia. It's still 8 p.m. for me in Arizona start time. Probably 9 p.m. for you Savages in Central, and 10 o'clock on the East Coast. God, that would suck. I literally wouldn't make it if the fight card started at 10 o'clock a day. Anyway, Zhang Weili for the strawweight belt. Zhang is literally the first Chinese champion ever, and she's one of my top 5 favorite fighters of all time. When Rose beat her twice in, probably, 2021, 2022, I loved those fights. I loved Rose. But then she got lame and she, fell off. But I started to love Zhang after that. She's beat all sorts of people. She's beat, this last fight, I think, Xiao Nan, and before that, Lemos, I think Esperanza, Joanna. She's had a couple wars here and there. I mean, she's the real deal. And then she's taking on Tatiana Suarez here, amazing wrestler, but has always been sick. I've been waiting for this girl to come up through the ranks. She's been injured a shit ton, and lately, actually not lately, she has beaten cancer. I don't know if it was in between 2019 and 2023, but she has beaten cancer, overcome injury, and she's finally getting a title shot against the Chinese machine in Sydney, Australia. She hasn't really beat too many people. I think I've got here, she subbed Andrade. I think that's her best win. Also Montana de la Rosa. But once again, nothing too crazy. Great wrestler. World champion, bronze, I believe, twice in her career. So she can get after it on the ground, but if you know anything about Zhang, she can do it standing, she can do it on the ground. So I mean, it's really hard for me to do this. As you see, I'm a USA man. Boom, baby. But I'm leaning towards Zhang. I really can't go away from her. If Tatiana pulls this upset, you know what's going to be fun is this is going to head into a trilogy. It's going to be a lot of hype, high anticipation, high pace, high wrestling. And you know what? Something with these girl fights at this weight class, it's usually emotional. Ask my wife. She got pissed at me one time. I was crying when Rose knocked her out. I mean, I legit teared up when Rose knocked her out. So, emotional question mark? UFC 312? Let's get into the main fight. Dricus versus Sean Strickland. Maybe the most savage man in the UFC. Quite the idiot. Also, I don't know, just quite the warrior guy. He's always going to get into it. He's going to scrap with it. You talk shit to him, he's probably going to hit you in the face. If you haven't seen the clips from, what was it? Oh, I had it here. Fought in the crowd at UFC 296. Him and Dricus saw each other in the crowd, and they were like 2 rows between one another. Sean jumped back and started drilling him in the top of the head. The whole crowd broke out. They started fighting each other in the crowd. That was UFC, I believe, 296. They fought each other at 297. A lot of people thought Sean won it. I thought Sean won it. He lost the belt that day. Dana White thought he won it. I believe most of the internet thought he won it. But Dricus won the belt, and then he also beat Izzy and tapped him out in the 3rd or 4th round. So he's got the belt. He's been holding on to it now, and now he's going to also rematch here again against Sean. I would love to see Sean win and somehow have a trilogy fight in America. But once again, folks, this hurts me to say, but I'm going with Dricus. I like his standing game. He's one of the weirdest dysfunctional fighters people have seen. I love when people make fun of him on the internet. They make him seem like a ghost pushed him the one way. His punches are real awkward. But Sean Strickland just literally stands there and does his thing. Throws little kicks to the chest, throws his right hand, brings over his little kicks. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be in a war. And if you didn't watch the first one, Sean Strickland always said that he got headbutted. And that's where he got a big-ass cut. And from that moment on, the fight changed. And he was a bloody mess. And Dricus took advantage of it. And he got the decision at the end. It's going to be a good one. I think these are a couple of tough calls. Vegas has them as a tough call. Vegas right now has Dricus at -205 and Zhang and Tatiana both at -110. So it is tight going into this. And once again, this is a week out from the card. A lot could happen. A lot can change. Let's get into some bets before I take too much more of your time here. Boom! Hold on, let me get one in here. Oh, that's good stuff. All right. My bets. My choices. The things I would probably do on Saturday when I tune in at 8 o'clock. One, if you like betting, I'm not exactly here to tell you which one's the exact perfect bet, but I'm always going to try to lead you, give you some info, see what you think, and then you can roll with it how you like. But the first thing I like tonight, my lock of the night, is Teixeira. I'm loving Teixeira beating Tafa. I also like the two Aussies at the beginning. I like Matthews. I like Crew. I think they're getting fed some bait to try and get a W in the home crowd and get that place lit up for those last two main fights. I also like, if I was to put a bet down, I would put Dricus, Zhang, and Teixeira. That's plus 367. $10 wins you $46 on that. USA parlay, you stick with America, which effing respect to you. That's Sean and Suarez. That's plus 415 right now. $10 equals 51. It's not a bad bet. My buddy Joe, Average Joe Bets, I think I'm going to start calling this slate. He likes Dricus by decision. He likes Zhang by KO. They actually don't have odds for that yet. But if you just take Dricus and Zhang to win, that's plus 184. That's a safe bet. I love that bet. Okay, $20 to win you, I think, I don't know, 56. Did I write that down right? I'm not sure. But anyway, look into it. Dricus, decision, Zhang, KO. Joe loves it. He loves those two to win. I also like Dricus, Zhang, and add in Teixeira to have some fun. If you're going crazy, you can parlay them all together, I guess. Those are fucking crazy odds. But the cigar is going out. I got a vacation coming up, folks. Amazing sports weekend coming up. We got a vacation. Oh, I got a vacation coming up. Then we have pay-per-view, UFC 312, then Super Bowl, the big game coming up between the Douchers and the Eagles. Sorry, I'm cheering for the Eagles. Go Chiefs, whatever. But y'all have a great, safe Super Bowl weekend, pay-per-view, UFC 312 weekend. Subscribe, click that bell. I'm really excited to hear from you guys. Watch out for the polls. Watch out for the post-fight breakdown. We got a lot coming for you. We're still evolving. We're still changing. Thank you for being here. Amen.